Your favorite cuckold sports analyst is back for another week of NFL reviews. Let's begin, shall we? Baltimore versus Tampa Bay. Newly single Florida man Tom Brady tried his best to snap a two-game losing streak for Tampa, but unfortunately for Brady, and fortunately for everybody else, it wasn't enough in this 27-22 loss to the Ravens. It all started off so great. Giselle's ex led Tampa to 10 points on their first two drives and a 10-3 lead at halftime, but like Brady's marriage, things fell apart quickly in the second half. The third quarter saw multiple Lamar Jackson touchdown passes to give Baltimore a 17-10 lead entering the fourth. Tampa added a field goal to make it 17-13. Baltimore responded with a clutch drive to make it 24-13 on a Devin Duvernay touchdown run with 7 minutes left. After another Tampa field goal to make it 24-16, Baltimore answered with a field goal of their own to make it 27-16 with 2 minutes left. Tom finally got into the end zone again with a touchdown pass to Julio Jones's corpse to make it 27-22 with 49 seconds left. The two-point conversion failed, and so did the onside kick to seal the loss. This is the first time since October 2001 Brady has been 2 games under 500, and I can't stop coming. Of course, this is still Tom Brady we're talking about here, and his division is awful, so he'll still find a way to get to the playoffs. Eat Arby's. New Orleans versus Las Vegas. New Orleans came into this game with one of the worst defenses in the league, and the Raiders came into it with one of the best offenses in the league. So, of course, the Saints ended up shutting Vegas out 24-0. Games like this are why Derek Carr will never be remembered as anything more than a decent quarterback and not a great one. He threw for just 101 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception with a putrid 50.3 rating. Vegas didn't run a play in Saints territory until late in the fourth quarter in garbage time. Septum-piercing enthusiast and anti-violence activist Alvin Kamara had all 3 touchdowns scored in this game, 2 of which came as a receiver from soulless quarterback number 14 to give New Orleans leads of 17-0 and 24-0. No points were scored in the fourth quarter just to really cap off how boring this game was. Oh yeah, Devontae Adams had just 1 catch for 3 yards. It looks like both Adams and Green Bay both got worse from the trade. Thanks a lot, Biden. Miami versus Detroit. It's official. Tua Tagovailoa is now 5-0 this season in games he didn't die in, adding this exciting 31-27 win over Detroit to his ledger. In typical Detroit fashion, they got out to a great start, taking a 14-0 lead in the first before Tua found Jalen Waddle to make it 14-7 after 1. Jamal Williams punched it in, no offense to Joe Mixon, for his second touchdown to make it 21-7 Detroit, but Miami struck back, no offense to Ray Rice, with another Waddle touchdown catch to make it 21-14. After that, the rest of the second quarter became a field goal contest, as Detroit led 27-17 at halftime. Miami's Alec Ingold ran for a score to make it 27-24, then Tua found Mike Gesicki to make it 31-27 Miami entering the fourth. Jared Goff had 2 drives in the fourth to win the game for Detroit, but the first ended with a punt, and the second ended on downs at Miami's 35-yard line with 3 minutes left. Miami then converted 3 first downs to put the game away, despite the fact that they didn't score in the fourth quarter themselves. It turns out Dan Campbell sucks at coaching. Shocker. Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh. That's right, losers. The Eagles are now 7-0 and still the only unbeaten team in the NFL. Just give us the fucking Lombardi right now. Yes, I am rubbing my nipples. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown dropped their nuts all over Pittsburgh in this one, no offense to Deshaun Watson. They connected on 3 touchdowns all in the first half, including several absolute grown man dimes from Hurts, which helped put Philly up 21-10 at halftime. But Big Dick Hurts was not done, as he found Zach Pascal on a 34-yard touchdown to make it 28-10 early in the third. With the game at 28-13 entering the fourth, Miles Sanders put it away for good with an 11-yard touchdown run. As for Pittsburgh, Kenny Kittens threw another interception, bringing his season totals to 2 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He also lost a fumble. Yikes. I'm glad to see people are finally starting to accept that Najee Harris is dog shit and Trent Richardson 2.0, like I've been saying since last year. Denver versus Jacksonville. Props to the NFL for sending these 2 exciting and fun teams to London to help our British friends heal from Queen Elizabeth's tragic premature death at the age of 96 a few months ago. It doesn't get any better than Trevor Lawrence versus Russell Wilson in 2022. Lawrence found future New York Giants Hall of Famer Evan Ingram for a 22-yard score to go up 7-0 after 1. Jacksonville took a 10-0 lead on a field goal before Denver finally responded with a Russ touchdown to the famously sure-handed Jerry Jeudy to make it 10-7 at the half. Notoriously safe ball carrier Melvin Gordon scored the only points in the third on a 1-yard touchdown run to give Denver a 14-10 lead after 3. The fourth quarter started with each team punting twice before Jacksonville had a touchdown drive capped off by a Travis Etienne score to go up 17-14 with 4 minutes left. But Gus Fring then led Denver on a clutch 80-yard touchdown drive to go up 21-17 with 1:43 left. Once again, in a clutch time situation as he always seems to be in every week, Lawrence threw a terrible game-losing interception on the first play of his final drive. In his career in the fourth quarter and overtime when trailing by 1 score, Lawrence now has a 53.3 passer rating. Yikes. He also killed Lucerus Valerian with his dragon in a fit of rage. I hope Goodell suspends him for it. New England versus the Jets. Look, we can debate all we want about how much Belichick was carried by Brady or whatever, but nobody can deny that Brady or not, Belichick has absolutely owned the Jets since Brady left, improving to 5-0 against them since 2020 with this 22-17 win. Really though, this game was a larger indictment on the 2021 QB class, which looks worse every single week. Zach Wilson was once again awful, throwing 3 terrible interceptions, while Mac Jones continues to regress from a solid rookie season. New York led at halftime, but once New England took the lead on a Jones touchdown pass to Jacoby Myers in the third quarter, it never really felt like the Jets had a chance. Wilson's numbers would look even worse without a garbage time touchdown drive. Shout out to Nick Folk for nailing 5 threes, which reminds me a lot of my weekends in college. Belichick is now second all-time in wins behind Don Shula, a guy who won 0 championships with prime Johnny Unitas in Baltimore and prime Dan Marino in Miami. Why am I going after Shula like this? I don't know. Let's just move on. Dallas versus Chicago. If you're a Bears fan, you probably have mixed feelings about this game. Justin Fields had some nice plays, but you got absolutely violated and blown out in embarrassing fashion. Before you could even blink, no offense to the guy from A Clockwork Orange, Dallas was up 28-7 midway through the second quarter. But just like my ex-wife, the Bears refused to go down, reeling off the next 16 points to make it 28-23 midway through the third. But then things fell apart quickly, no offense to the Jedi Temple. Tony Pollard reeled off a 7-yard touchdown run to make it 35-23. Then the play of the game happened. Fields completed a pass to David Montgomery, who fumbled it like a scrub. It was recovered by Fleece Johnson 11, but instead of touching him down, Fields jumped over him and Nasty Man 11 returned the ball for a score to make it 42-23. Fields would find Cole Kmet for a touchdown to make it 42-29 early in the fourth, but Dallas put the game away for good on a 54-yard touchdown run by Pollard, his third of the day, something Zeke Elliott has never done in the NFL. Congrats to Bears fans on yet another lost season with a quarterback who takes sacks at a historic rate. Don't worry though, Bears fans, Fields is a better quarterback than Ian Book. Minnesota versus Arizona. To show how truly fucked up 2022 is, Kirk Cousins just keeps on winning games. This one started with Cousins finding his inner Mike Vick, no offense to PETA, by running for a 17-yard touchdown to give Minnesota a 7-3 lead after one. Kirk then threw a touchdown to something called Johnny Munt to make it 14-3, but Call of Duty extraordinaire Kyler Murray reeled off 2 straight touchdown passes, one to hotel room respecter DeAndre Hopkins, and another to sexy man Zach Ertz to take a 17-14 lead. But Minnesota ripped off 14 unanswered points of their own, a 7-yard touchdown run by Alexander Madison, and a 4-yard touchdown run by Dalvin Cook to make it 28-17 Minnesota. Kyler found Rondale Moore for a 38-yard touchdown, but the 2-point conversion failed. Then Arizona added a field goal early in the fourth to make it 28-26 Minnesota with 12:32 left. Kirk was unfazed, whipping out his dick, no offense to Josh Primo, and finding KJ Osborne for a touchdown to go up 34-26 with 8:36 left, but the extra point was no good. Kyler would get 3 drives to try and tie the game, but the first ended with an interception in Minnesota territory, the second ended on downs around midfield, and the last ended with Kyler getting sacked on back-to-back plays as time expired to seal the loss. Kirk is now 6-1. Brady and Rodgers are 3-5. LeBron is 1-5. Durant is 2-5. Even Steph and the Warriors are 3-4. Elon Musk now owns Twitter. It's all connected to Kirk somehow. I just know it. Atlanta versus Carolina. This really didn't get much pregame hype, but it sure was fucking exciting and controversial. The teams exchanged scores the entire game. Carolina was up 10-7 late in the first half with the ball, but PJ Walker threw a brutal pick 6 with 41 seconds left, so Atlanta had a 14-10 halftime lead. The third quarter saw Carolina add a field goal and Atlanta add a touchdown to make it 21-13 Atlanta after 3. Then that's when shit got wild. Deonta Foreman ran for a touchdown and 2-point conversion to tie it at 21. Atlanta kicked a field goal to go up 3. Foreman then ran for another touchdown to make it 28-24 Carolina with 3 minutes left. But Marcus Mariota found Demir Byrd on a 47-yard strike to go up 31-28 with 2:14 left. Atlanta extended that lead to 34-28 with a field goal with 36 seconds left, and then it happened. PJ Walker grabbed his nuts and fired a 65-yard bomb into tight coverage to DJ Moore for a touchdown with 12 seconds left to tie it at 34. But then Moore committed the disgusting and unforgivable act of taking off his helmet on the field. Thankfully, the refs were there to flag him. Otherwise, he could have killed somebody. The penalty pushed the extra point back, and Carolina's mentally weak kicker Eddie Pinheiro missed it, sending the game into overtime. In overtime, Mariota threw a bad interception that was returned deep into Atlanta territory, setting up Pinheiro with a chance to redeem himself with a game-winning 32-yard field goal attempt, which he also missed like a beta. Mariota then ran and threw Atlanta down into field goal range, where Younghoe Koo nailed the game-winning 41-yard field goal, showing little Eddie how the big boys do it. Tennessee versus Houston. That's right, folks. Just like you, I get a fierce erection watching this matchup between Malik Willis and Davis Mills. I understand it was his first first career start, but let's just say Malik Willis was not very impressive. He only threw 10 passes and finished with a 35.4 passer rating. What Willis did do a great job of, though, was watching Derrick Henry run all over Houston's defense to the tune of 219 yards and 2 scores. It also didn't hurt Willis that his defense held the human draft's offense to 10 points on 11 drives. Henry's second touchdown gave Tennessee a 14-3 lead halfway through the third. Tennessee added a field goal early in the fourth to make it 17-3, but Houston's next 2 drives ended with punts before they finally got into the end zone with 17 seconds left on a Mills touchdown pass to make it 17-10, but it was too late. Mills was a nice story who exceeded non-existent expectations as a rookie, but it's obvious he's not a franchise guy, and Houston desperately needs to draft a quarterback who is good and also not a sexual predator. As for Tennessee, they are the most boring and irrelevant 5-2 team ever, and that's just how they like it, although they better pray that Willis improves a lot in a hurry for their future. San Francisco versus the Rams. As quiet as it's kept, the Rams have one of the worst offenses in the league this year, and Clayton Kershaw's childhood friend Matt Stafford has absolutely fallen off of a cliff. This game started off well enough, though, with Stafford running for a touchdown to go up 7-0, but this day was about the sexy San Francisco duo of Christian McCaffrey and, of course, Jimmy Garoppolo. McCaffrey actually threw a touchdown pass to Brandon Ayuk to tie it at 7, before Stafford found Cooper Kupp for a touchdown to go up 14-7. LA led 14-10 at halftime, but the second half was all Niners. Our favorite Italian angel, Jimmy, found McCaffrey for a 9-yard score to go up 17-14 after 3. Then McCaffrey penetrated the end zone line for another touchdown to go up 24-14 early in the fourth. The Rams punted on each of their last 4 drives, while the man of my dreams, Jimmy, found George Kittle for a touchdown to make it 31-14 and put the game away for good. Thankfully, the Rams had artificial turf, so all the orgasms from fans looking at Jimmy and Christian together didn't affect the playing surface like it did last week. I want Jimmy to be my husband. What? Washington versus Indy. The Colts finally had enough of Matt Ryan's Slim Jim looking ass, so they benched him for Sam Ehlinger, who's basically the R.C. Cola version of Colt McCoy. Geez, that is a very sad sentence to say out loud. Nevertheless, because Indy was facing Dan Snyder's team, this was a competitive game that went down to the wire. Washington had a 7-3 lead at halftime after Taylor Heineke found Antonio Gibson for a score. Indy, though, would reel off 13 straight points after that to take a 16-7 lead with 11-12 left in the game. Heineke led Washington to a field goal to make it 16-10 with 5 minutes left. Indy had a chance to seal the game, but instead went 3 and out like a bunch of beta cucks. With 2:39 left to work with, Heineke completed some big boy throws, including a 33-yard strike to Terry McLaurin to set up Washington at the Indy 1-yard line with 26 seconds left. Heineke then scored on a quarterback sneak, and the extra point was good to give Washington a 17-16 lead with 22 seconds left to win the game. Colts have Big Dick Nick Foles on their roster, and they aren't using him. Why? Frank Reich must answer for his crimes. Seattle versus the Giants. Oh, how lovely it was to see these fluke-ass Giants finally get some humble pie in the form of Eugene Cyril Smith III and the Seahawks. The game was back and forth for 3 quarters. Geno found DK Metcalf to start the scoring, but New York responded with a Saquon touchdown run to make it 7-7. Seattle kicked a field goal to go up 10-7 at halftime. New York answered with a field goal of their own to make it 10-10. Seattle kicked another field goal to go up 13-10 after 3. New York answered with another field goal to make it 13-13 all with 11 minutes left. Then Geno said, enough of this shit. I decide who wins, so he fired a 33-yard rocket to Tyler Lockett. Unintentional rhyme there, but it works. To put Seattle up 20-13 with 9:18 left. Daniel Jones has been pretty clutch so far this year, but not in this one. Seattle and New York both went 3 and out on their next drives, but New York's fate was sealed when Richie James fumbled the punt deep in New York territory. 2 plays later, Kenneth Walker ripped off a 16-yard touchdown, put Seattle up 27-13 with 5:22 left. New York got 2 more drives, but did nothing with them to seal the loss. Imagine if Geno Smith gets more MVP votes for the Seahawks than Russell Wilson did. Wow. Buffalo versus Green Bay. If you're a Bills fan after this game, you're happy about moving to 6-1, but you feel like they could have won by even more. If you're a Packers fan after this game, you either feel encouraged by them fighting back in the second half or discouraged that this could have been an even bigger loss for a season that is quickly becoming lost. Josh Allen did whatever he wanted to do in the first half, throwing 2 touchdown passes to put Buffalo up 14-0 before Aaron Rodgers found Romeo Doubs on an amazing touchdown catch to cut it to 14-7. But Buffalo would reel off 10 more points to take a commanding 24-7 halftime lead. The third quarter saw the teams exchange field goals to make it 27-10 entering the fourth, although Green Bay was robbed on a bad offensive pass interference call on a would-be Robert Tonyan touchdown that would have cut it to 24-14. Any real chance Green Bay had at coming back in this game ended when they turned it over on downs to start fourth. Allen threw an interception, then on the very next play, Rodgers threw an interception. Then on Buffalo's next drive, Allen threw a red zone interception. Green Bay would cut it to 27-17 on a beautiful touchdown throw from Breitbart star to something called Samori Toure. Green Bay got the ball back down 10 with 2:34 left with no timeouts, but the drive ended with Mason Crosby badly missing a 55-yard field goal to seal the loss. The Packers blew their title win window over the last 3 years, while Buffalo is squarely in the middle of theirs. They gotta take advantage of it. Cleveland versus Cincinnati. The only way Joe Burrow is ever going to get back to the Super Bowl is if he buys a ticket, because no guy who gets his ass kicked repeatedly by the Browns is really that good. This Halloween special was scary in how boring and uneventful it was. I'm pretty sure ESPN scheduled these two teams for this game because they have Halloween colors, which is pretty lame. There was no scoring until 5 minutes left in the first half when Nick Chubb ran for a 3-yard score and the 2-point conversion, but Cleveland up 5-0. Cleveland took an 11-0 lead in halftime, thanks to 2 Burrow turnovers and a missed field goal. The third quarter wasn't much better for Cincy, as their only drive was a 3-and-out, while Cleveland added 2 more scores with a Jacoby Brissett touchdown run to go up 18-0 and a Brissett touchdown pass to Amari Cooper to go up 25-0 entering the fourth. The fourth quarter was all garbage time, as Burrow used it to pad his final numbers by throwing 2 meaningless touchdowns with another Chubb touchdown sandwiched in between to reach the final score of 32-13. Letting Jacoby Brissett look like an all-pro against you is some truly horrifying shit. I'll keep saying it. Burrow is good, but overrated, as it took the worst half of Patrick Mahomes' career to get him to the Super Bowl. Don't forget that. Enough football talk. Let's get to puppy time.